What can we learn from Afghanistan? I'm going to make a few suggestions of things we should have learned long before Afghanistan. One of which is this: it's never a honorable thing to try and score political points out of a tragedy. One of the most frustrating things that I've witnessed as we watch this clock wind down for the evacuation of Americans and Afghans who served faithfully beside Americans, one of the things that's been particularly frustrating for me is watching conservatives, I'm a conservative, watching conservatives saying, aha, at Joe Biden as if he alone has responsibility for this result, and others on the left-hand side of the spectrum saying, well, this is what President Trump planned to do anyway, and we can go back and forth about how to leave, when to leave. And one of the things that really frustrates me is people look at this event and say, oh, this is proof that we should not leave, which brings us to lesson 2. Nation building? Bad idea. A bad idea. Now, I am virtually, though I'm virtually very close to being a pacifist in the sense that I embrace the historical Christian view of just war. There are wars that are just, which is why I'm not a pacifist, and many more that are not just. And a just war is a war fought against an enemy that has attacked or assaulted a nation, which makes Afghanistan profoundly unusual over the course of the last 100 years. Apart from Pearl Harbor, Afghanistan may be and therefore World War II, Afghanistan may be the only war that we've waged that I think has much of a chance of passing the just war test, because when we went in with the express purpose of doing two things. One, finding Osama bin Laden, who was guilty of the attacks on September 11th. Second was to take out terrorist training camps where terrorists were being trained to do things like 9/11. I think both of those things are legitimate goals. I think, however, that they were successfully completed a long, long time ago. And yet we remained and had what's called mission drift, and got closer and closer to the idea that we're going to make Afghanistan a good and safe place. Afghanistan is the poster child of how destructive this is. We have, when we were engaged in battle in Afghanistan, we're worried about, and I understand why, and we should be, we're worried about all the weapons that we left behind. Do we not remember that the great majority of weapons that the Taliban has used over the ages are weapons that we left there back when we were supplying them to fight against the Russians? This is what happens when you start to think that you are God. That because you're the United States, because you have this massive military, because you have this massive amount of wealth, that you can go into any podunk nation and turn it around. Well, when are we going to learn that is just not the case? And by the way, even if it were the case, it's not worth sending our sons and daughters off to die to do it. What can we learn from Afghanistan? We can learn the value and the importance of a historical, biblically grounded understanding of what just war is. And we can stop, because we're conservatives, we can just stop the knee-jerk reaction that says, well, hey, when the military goes somewhere, we're for it. Now, I'm not blaming the soldiers. I'm not going to be spitting on people like they did after Vietnam. I'm blaming the leadership. They're going places they don't belong, and tragedy, real, genuine, people losing their fathers and their mothers and their lives. Tragedy follows that foolishness. Let's learn a sound biblical, and by the way, might I add, Washingtonian foreign policy of a vigorous defense of our borders and a zealous indifference to the affairs of nations outside our own.